up, everybody? I am the Educated Natural, and welcome back to my channel. Listen, I make to you one vow here on this channel, and that is simply this. While you are here, I can guarantee you I will never, ever leave you uneducated. Listen, I am not in my regular setting, as many of you already know. We are still in the transitioning relocation process. It has been a journey. Whoo, y'all, this was one for the record books, but we are still in a hotel setting until July. When I tell y'all this testimony here is going to be something special. So I hope you all can hear me. I do not have my microphone. All my stuff is packed. All I have is my laptop and my camera and all my cords, but I do not have my usual setup. So I hope you all can hear me. I'm going to check my phone real fast to see, to make sure everything's okay before we get into this. I really missed you all. I know it's been, what, 2 weeks or so since I did a video. So I want to come on just to say hey to everyone, check on everybody, see how you all are doing. As you all can see, we are well. This hotel here is unlike any hotel we have ever been in. And I'll explain to you all in a few minutes as to why. Thank you, Unbiased. Thank you for letting me know that you can hear me for some reason. How come I can't pull up my own stuff on my phone? It has been a day, y'all. It had actually been a long 2 weeks, to be honest with y'all. A very long 2 weeks. It has been. Woo, child. But we thank God for being here. We thank God that, yes, I have on two sets of headphones because one's for my phone and one's for my computer. Okay, cool. Doesn't sound too bad without my mic. Okay. All right, cool. All right, listen, let's get into this. If this is your first time here, hold on to your knockers, hold on to your wigs, hold on to whatever you got, baby. Hold on to it. But before I get into it, it would behoove me to say hello to all you wonderful people that are here sharing in this moment with me. For it is greatly appreciated. For I know at this time of day you could have been anywhere, but you have taken the time out to be here with me, and I am gracious and grateful for that. It is much appreciated. So I want to take a few moments just to say hello and welcome everyone into today's session with the Educated Natural. All right. Unbiased LLC, thank you for being here. Glad you made it in the skies and on the ground safely. Late Night Crafting with Stacy, thank you for being here. Much love to you, sis. Who else do we have here? Bad, thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you. Miss Cheryl Faulkner, thank you for being here. Precious Pieces, great to see you, sis. Thank you for being here. Official Jamia, thank you for being here. Ghetto's in the house. Welcome, Ghetto. Glad you are here. Great to see you over here. Let's see. Kicking it with the roof. Where y'all been? Where you been, girl? Where you been? Now, it's great to see you. I'm so glad to see you are back. Thank you for being here. Glad to see you and the family are doing well. Gracious to God that those storms did not impact you all. So we give God praise for that. Thank you for being here. I know it has to be something going on around there, but you took time to be out here with me. So I'm happy. Thank you. Who else do we have in the house today? Let's see. Creating with Tuck. Thank you for being here. Great to see you. Let's see. Let me go on down. Sweet Reed, thank you for being here. Blessings to you. All right, so everybody's still coming in and saying hello. CTR Shirts, thank you for being here. Hey, great to see you. Okay, guys, listen. Y'all know I don't hold no punches. So if you have thin skin, you might want to come back on another live. You may want to come back on another live. I'm warning you now. Listen. Wait, I need my ear. I'm discombobulated because I don't have my stuff, man. I don't have my stuff. But it's okay. It's okay. It's coming. It's coming. It's got a few more weeks. It'll be here. It'll be here, Kim. It'll be here. Listen. Y'all know I don't hold no punches. And I originally, when I set up this live, came with one angle with this topic. But as God would have it, some things have happened in the last 24 hours. And I've told y'all, I don't work for me. I work for him. I'm here because of him, and him meaning God. So if you're not religious, this may not be the place for you. And I'm just talking about any God. All right. That's something else I need to address, but I'll address that later. I'm talking about the God of heaven and the God of earth. So if you don't believe in that God, this may not apply to you. But if you do, roll with your girl. Listen, there have been a lot of deceptive practices and sayings and teachings and different things that have been happening that I have heard and seen, probably like many of you. And it gets to a point where you say, enough is enough. And I was sitting last week in the middle of a family emergency. And I literally thought that the worst of the worst was about to happen to someone that I absolutely love. I've loved them all of my life. And I'm referring to one of my older brothers. I have two older brothers, and I'm the baby. I'm the only girl, and I love my brothers. But one of my brothers in particular, we are really, 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 really close. And he was hit with a medical emergency last week. And when I tell you, it shook me at my core. Now, those of you that have siblings, you probably can understand what I was going through. To be way in a new location, away from home, states away, and to receive a phone call saying that in my case, my brother was in the midst of a medical emergency. And my family and I had just arrived here, and there was just a lot of stuff going on. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, please, Lord, don't tell me I'm going to have to jump on the plane right now in the midst of everything that's going on here. So I was in a complete emotional state last week. It was crazy. But being a woman of faith, I will tell you, this entire time has been a faith test. And when I tell you, I have prayed, I have cried, I have been angry, I've gone through the ringer because of everything that was surrounding not just my brother's health, but everything in between. So I made it my mission just to take a step back, believe God, trust God, and know that God had him. And I don't know if any of you have ever been in that position before where you literally could do nothing and you had to completely rely on God to be a fulfiller of his word. And my brother and I are really close. And there was nothing I could do but pray and call back and forth to his daughter, my niece, and find out what's going on. And, it was just like, it was almost like a deja vu because I've been here before, not with him, but with another family member. I've been here before. And to be in the position that I was in, it was very hard. It was very heavy. And knowing that I am my brother's outside of his children, his next of kin, anything happens to him, I'm like one of the number one on the line outside of his children. And so it was just a lot of pressure, a lot of stuff going on last week. And so as I was sitting here just trying to take my mind off of, my troubles and not to worry, because, I've always been told, Kim, you can't pray and worry. You got to pick one. So I was trying to stay in prayer, trying to trust God and knowing that God had him, even though for a minute there it was looking really, really, really bleak. I still trusted God. And as I was going through social media, I ran across several people that were talking about, and this was doing also right before Father's Day. And I'm listening to everyone, celebrate fathers and share their father stories and all these different things. And then, of course, prior to that, we had Mother's Day. And so it was a lot of, things going on dealing with parents. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say that, anybody, myself included, is the perfect parent. We all make mistakes. There is no book out there to tell you how to be a good parent. Some people just, hey, you have the baby, you do the best you can with what you have. But as I was listening to several people that, we all may know in the community, and some people that, I don't even know. I don't even know how I landed on these videos, child. I got thrown into the YouTube whirlwind and kind of went down this rabbit hole, with people giving their opinion about Father's Day. And listening to everything that was going on during that time and knowing that my brother is fighting for his life, literally, it made me go into what I would like to call warrior praying over the men. And as I look back on several issues and things that several men in my family have gone through, and the women that, were attached to them in any way have gone through, it made me feel some sort of way. And when I say some sort of way, I'm talking in reference to some of the things that I heard, which I could only put into the category of deception. There are a lot of people that are walking around here pointing the finger at the wrong individuals for their own situations. I ran into, I don't even know the content creator's name. Like I said, I was in the YouTube rabbit hole abyss. And one of the women that was in there, she was saying something along the lines of, you know, pretty much men are nothing. They don't deserve to be celebrated. She started sharing about her children's father and how their journey was and all these different things, right? So I'm sitting there listening, I'm like, okay, I heard her, but then somebody else joined in with her and shared their story. So it's kind of a lot of banter against, the males that they had chosen to have children with. And so I was like, listen, I was kind of like, okay, whatever you say. So I kind of went somewhere else, landed in somebody else, and it was a group of men, and yeah, yeah, bye. And it was a table of men. The next one was a table of men, and they were bashing women, and they were like, saying all sort of things about women and how they were tired of being on YouTube and Instagram, and they were tired of seeing all these half-naked women, and now everybody has forgotten what clothes look like, and there aren't any women out here dressed in modest anymore, and everybody want to be a this and that. I ain't gonna say the acronyms, as y'all can probably imagine the acronyms they were using. And I was just like, good gracious, where am I? How did I get here? And so I got off of social media because I was like, okay, this is getting crazy. So I started to pray, and I kept checking on my brother, seeing how he was doing, and got a couple of phone calls from people checking on him and everything in the family. And I realized something. As I started to pray over my brother, and my mind started to go back in history and some of his life and his journey and his story, I couldn't help but wonder how many of us literally have failed to take responsibilities for our choices. How many of us are getting up every single day pointing the finger at other people for our own decisions, which caused us some consequences and repercussions? It's always easy to point the finger at other people, but we fail to realize that there are a bunch of fingers pointing right back at us. As I reflect on those women and men that were bashing each other, pretty much, the males are bashing the females and the females are bashing the males. There's just a lot of stuff going on, doing around the Father's Day weekend type thing. And it made me realize that in the midst of all the foolishness, in the midst of all the terminology that was used on both sides of this argument they were having, it made me realize that at some point, we as individuals have to take responsibility for the actions that we commit ourselves to. And someone recently asked me about a family member that they had ran into and they were talking about their father, the individual's father. And the individual says, "Oh, you mean, let's just call him Jake." And she says, "You mean your dad? Why do you call him Jake?" So basically, the young lady, when the other lady asked her about her dad, she didn't say dad. She didn't say father. She didn't say papa. She didn't say poppy. She didn't say none of that. She called him by his name. And it made this particular other woman feel some sort of way. And so she told me that during the Father's Day weekend, the young lady said Happy Father's Day to her mother. And I said, I've seen that. I've seen other people do that. I kind of brushed it off and said, hey, I'm going to keep my opinion about that to myself, because I do have a strong opinion about that and I have my reasons for that. But to listen to her explain her side of the story, why it affected her so negatively to see this young lady celebrate her mother on Father's Day when she has a living and breathing father, it made her feel some kind of way. So here is my story when it comes to fathers. I don't know who my father is. My mother took that with her when she left this world. All right. So growing up, it wasn't something that I celebrated in any manner. I had a stepfather. My mom remarried when I was 5. Um, he, wasn't the father of neither my brothers nor myself. And he, worked, but he was more like a friend in the household. Um, my brothers really didn't pay him too much attention. I showed him as much love as I could, but when I think about it, none of us ever called him dad. Um, I was probably the only one that would call him dad every now and then as I got older. But he had his flaws. My mom had her flaws. Everybody has flaws. But we never really celebrated fathers. We just didn't. I had my Thank you, I'm biased. It's okay. I'm good. I had my grandfather. If I would say a father figure, it would be my grandfather. I loved my grandfather, let me tell you. My mother was my grandfather's only daughter. And so when I came along being the only grand girl, it was like I pushed my mom out the way. So I became like the apple of his eye, and my grandmother, and everybody would say, "Oh, you was that spoiled grand girl." Okay, whatever. Okay, whatever with that. But I was the baby. I was the only girl. So growing up without knowing who my dad really is was never an issue. My mom and I just never talked about it. I had my mom. My mom was my all in all. So when my mom passed away when I was 17, my world was crushed. Like I wanted to get as far away as I possibly could from anything dealing with my hometown. So at 18, I was about it at joint. And I ain't look back. But that was because there was a lot of stuff that my mom held on to herself for whatever reason. I didn't have the chance to question. When my mom left, I was 17. My mom was that generation. You didn't ask questions. You do what you're told, and that was it. And you didn't pry. That's just kind of how things were during that time. So after her passing, years later, I had served in the military. I happened to be home on vacation visiting my grandmother. I was a mom, and I had the chance to ask my grandmother if she knew. Just out of nowhere, I don't even know where the thought came from. Have no idea. I just asked her, "Ma, do you know who my father is?" She said, "No, your mom never mentioned it." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I kind of went on with it, but it just wasn't a thing in my household. I didn't really give reverence or pay any attention to Father's Day until after my first child was born. And it took my husband his very first Father's Day to come to me one day. He said, "You know what today is?" And I was like, I told him the day of the week. And he was like, "No, do you know what today is?" And I was like, "The day of the week." I told him what day it was, right? And he was like, "Kim, it's Father's Day." And I was like, Okay. Like literally, this is how disconnected I am. And I was to that. And we literally had to have a sit down conversation about Father's Day. It took him to tell me, to show me, to teach me the importance of that time. So since then, and my oldest daughter is 25 years old now. So it's him that had to show me that, because growing up, it just wasn't a thing. So to hear now during this time that there are so many children that were raised by single moms away from their dad for whatever reason. If the dad is still living and breathing, and for whatever reason, the mom and dad have split, gone their separate ways, living their separate lives, the children kind of get stuck in the middle of all of that. And I'm coming today to talk to the women who are out there having to raise these children. Hi, Deborah. Thank you for being here. Who are having to raise these children without the father being present constantly in their life. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know. You know your story. Only you know why you chose, ladies, why you chose to lay down with whomever and make this child. The one thing my mom always told me as I was growing up, she raised me to be modest, which is why you don't see me on here half dressed. That's just not my thing. You won't see that. That's a husband privilege. And you just won't see me do that. Not saying there's anything wrong with anybody else. You do what you do. You grown. You do what you do. It's just that I wasn't raised that way. And my mom always told me to be careful when I get to a stage and I want to lay down with someone, because it has consequences and repercussions behind that. And I tried to stick to that teaching because I remember my childhood. I remember growing up in the projects. I remember what it looked like for my mom to struggle with her own things that she had going on in her life to make sure that my brothers and I had food on the table. You know, I would watch her, as they say, what they say, rob Peter to pay Paul. I would watch her do some pretty crazy things to make sure that we had. And I knew growing up, I didn't want that to be my story. And so I did everything that I could to make sure that my children had, and they didn't have to experience the things that I had to experience growing up. But the one thing my mother never did was, because none of my siblings or myself had ever had our fathers in our life, my mother never put bad mouth on them, meaning she never talked negative about them, ever. And I was with my mom all the time, all the time, in her good and her bad, in her right and her wrong. I was right beside her, seeing a lot of different things. But she never in our presence said anything negative about fathers of us. Let me back up a little bit. When I was 11 years old, I was outside playing with my friend. I happened to come in the house, get some water, and there was this man sitting on the living room couch. I didn't know who this man was. I knew it wasn't my stepfather. I didn't know who this man was. And I walk in the door and I'm looking at this man. I'm looking at my mom, like in my mind thinking, who is this and what is he doing here? Because I was very protective of my mother. This man looks at me and he laughs. I look at my mom and said, hey, say hello to your daddy. I said, my what? I'm 11 years old. I will never forget this moment. That man bust out laughing in my face and told my mom, he said, stop lying to that child. You know I am not her daddy. Me being me, at 11 years old, I had a very slick mouth, did not care, no filter, okay? I looked that man in the face. I said, you right about that. There is no way you my father. I looked at my mama, drank my water, and walked right back out the back door and kept right on playing. I didn't see the man again until after school. My best friend and I were walking from school, and I heard somebody say, hey, there's my baby. Now, we're in a part of the neighborhood where all the drunks, there's no better way to say that, all the drunks hung out, all the the cat callers, all the pool players. It was like a hustling part of the neighborhood. We was walking through there, going home, and I turn around and I see this dude, man. I see this dude that was sitting on my mama's couch 2 years prior, man. Talking about that's my baby. So this man is walking up to me, and I'm turning around now. I'm from hood. I'm from the projects. I don't know this man. He walking up on me. I'm about to deck him, like for real. Because I don't know you. Now you told me 2 years to my face that I'm not yours. Why are you hollering across the neighborhood talking about there's my baby? So I'm looking at this guy. My best friend is standing there. She's looking at him because she don't know who this is. He reaches in his pocket, gives me $20, and the men that's with him, these older men that's with him, said, "Man, stop lying. That girl don't look nothing like you. That ain't your child." He's like, "Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is." So he gives me $20. Now listen, my mama taught me to never turn down nothing but your collar. So I took that 20. I sure did. Put that booger right in my pocket. I'm looking at this man. He's looking at me. He walks off and said, "Have a good day, baby." I said, "Okay." We turn off, me and my best friend, we turn around, walking back. She's like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "Some crazy dude." I said, "Well, we about to go spend this $20. So we walk. I went to my grandma. She went to her granddad's, and our grandparents, their houses were on two different streets. But when you look out my back door and you look out her back doors, we can see each other's houses. So I walk in the house. I tell my grandmother, I said, "Hey, Mom," I said, "there's this guy." I said, "His name is such and such." He claimed, my mom told me one time this dude was supposed to be my father. I told the whole story, right? I said, "But he's up here on this particular street, him and some other men." He talking about, I said, "He just gave me $20. My grandma said, "There's a man that's claiming to be your daddy?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Let's go." My grandmother and I jumped in the car. By the time we got up there where he was, we couldn't find him. My grandmother looked at me. She said, "You still got that $20? I said, "Yeah." She said, "We going to Hardee's. It's time to eat." So my grandmother and I took that $20, went to Hardee's and got us some food with that. We come back after we finish eating. She's driving through the neighborhood trying to see if I see him. I couldn't find him anymore. So I didn't see him for years later, man. Ironically, during the time of the, gosh, it was in 2021? No, 2001. 2001. My grandmother passed away. And we went to go view her body at the funeral home. Well, there was another lady whose body was also in the funeral home. And my cousin grabs me. She says, "Kim, do you know that lady right there?" So I said, "I know that lady," because I'm over here crying over my own grandmother, seeing my own grandmother's body. So she says, "Come here." She grabs me around the neck. She says, "Come here." We walk over to this lady's casket. She says, "Do you know this lady?" And I'm looking at this lady. I'm like, "I don't know this lady." So she points to one of the funeral home workers. She said, "Do you know her?" And I'm looking. I'm like, "No." She said, "That's her mom." I'm thinking, "Why are you telling me this?" And she says, "That lady that's laying there, Kim, is the mother of the man that you told me about that your mom claims to be your dad." My jaw dropped. She says, "Would it be possible that both of your grandmothers are laying here?" And I go, "No, I got one grandmother. She over there." No. The reason why I deny it so hard, and probably the reason why this man denied it so hard, is because we look absolutely nothing alike. This man is super, super, super dark skinned. Y'all see what I look like. My mom was brown skinned. Not saying you can go by skin color, that's just ridiculous, right? But there wasn't even any features. I look nothing like this dude. And so that's probably why he denied me. I denied him because I'm like, "Dude, I don't know you. But thank you for the 20. And so it just kind of went there. So now at this point, my mom has passed away. My grandmother's passed away. Nobody in my entire family, even my mom's closest family member, said has she ever mentioned anybody being my dad. But so I didn't blame my mom for that. It was just, hey, it was just a time. It was back. It's back in the 70s. It's all kind of stuff was going on back in the 70s. So hey, I'm here. So no, unbiased. No. Hey, craftable things. No. Yes, they both did at the same time. No, we look nothing alike. absolutely nothing. I even one time went and looked up this man who has passed away as well, to find his other children, because everybody knows this man's name. So I just kind of put two and two together. And when y'all know me, I'm a researcher, so I searched him out. And his children look nothing like him. They're all really brown skin, dark skin. And I'm like, come on, mama, really? It was like my mom just said, any, many, miny, mo, you do. Like it was, come on, mama, come on, mama. And so I was just like, okay, I don't know what that was about, but that was the only person ever in my life that was said. Now, fast forward. Let me take a breath. Let me get some water. You can tell I'm out of my element because I'm drinking bottled water. I usually drink filtered water from, my Brita, but like I said, we're still in the hotel. All right, let me take a breath on this next part. We're talking about deception. Those of you that's new here is coming in. Thank y'all for being here. We're talking about deception. Fast forward about 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, my aunt passed away. God rest her soul. Auntie, I miss you. I get a phone call. I'm going to tread lightly. I get a phone call from someone that says they believe their family member is my father. But here's the kicker. My mom never mentioned anyone other than one I just told y'all about. Here I am grieving again. My aunt, my only aunt. And I'm being told by someone that I do not know that there's a possibility that someone else is possibly my dad. They waited until this man passed away to contact me. Yet again, I can't have a conversation with this individual. Here's another kicker. We're all from the same neighborhood. Throughout the 18 years I lived there, nobody ever reached out to me, ever. But it seems that they knew. We didn't know. So I immediately started calling my mom's closest cousins to find out if they knew anything. Like, I think I'm being punked. Like, I'm looking around for cameras like I'm being punked. This is not the time to be playing with me. What's going on? Nobody knew anything. Nobody in my whole family knew anything of this. So now I'm like, God, what is this? What are you trying to tell me here? Because I don't want to miss the message. If God is trying to tell me something, I don't want to miss the message. And I'm sharing this with you all because, like I said earlier, we just celebrated, those of you that celebrate Father's Day and Mother's Day. And there are a lot of people even now that are taking the world by storm. You're sleeping with whomever you want to, doing whatever you want to do. You're not taking time to get to know that person, see if that person even wants to be a parent in any sense. We're just living reckless. And I'm the result of what reckless looks like. When you go out here and you have children, you forget that those children will grow up one day and have questions. And you don't know what the future may hold. You don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow or not. But your children still will be blown to and fro by other people saying other things. And I want to put this PSA out there to people because when you're irresponsible with your body and a child is conceived, that child deserves to know the truth, no matter how ugly it is, how pretty it is. Mothers, we have to start teaching our daughters the realness of the decisions that they make when it comes to their bodies. I always tell my daughters, let me be your first line of teaching. And not only am I your first line of defense outside of God and your dad, but let my life be an example of what you do and what you don't do. I couldn't control what my mother did. All I can do is live the best life God has given me to live. and make sure that I'm living up to his standard and his requirements. But I have so many questions that now I can't get answered because basically all three parties, my mom and these two men, are all gone from this earth. So then DNA was brought up. Kim, get a DNA test. You know, they got other children. Once you get a DNA test, once you do this, once you do that. And like I shared with you all earlier, knowing who my father is never was something I wanted to know. I'm a person, hey, if my mom wanted me to know, she would have told me. If this other person, this latest person would have wanted me to know, they would have made that happen as well. Neither party wanted me to know. So why would I go digging in a hole that's already been closed? And that's just kind of how I feel about it. Because even if I did some type of DNA test with, you know, anybody that's in the other person's family, what does that solve? I can't go back and have a conversation with this person. I can't ask questions. I can't get the real tea or whatever. I can't get to know them if there's just even a possibility. I can't do any of that stuff. So what's the purpose? And I would love to hear y'all thoughts on this. But I really want to put this PSA out there to parents. Be careful and mindful of what you're doing. Because ladies, as long as you have a menstrual cycle, I don't care if you're 45, I don't care if you're 55, I don't care if you're 65. As long as your uterus is still working, baby, you can get pregnant. So you need to be careful what you're doing. No, but you can get to know your family. You know, it's so much complicated, so much I can say, Goodies. It's so much I can say. But I'm just at an age and at a point where I'm like, if it wasn't important to my mom was my ace. When they put my mom in that hole, it took a big part of me that's with her. And whatever doors that closed when they lowered her in that hole stayed closed. It was closed for a reason. I don't know what the reason is. I will never get the answer to the reason. But it just feels weird to me to be uprooting that. And all of this stuff is clouded in deception. There are even family members now that have told us at a family reunion that I was at one time, one of the oldest members of my family, and said, don't worry about how we're family. We're family. Don't come asking me about your great-grandparents, your grandparents. That ain't for you to know. You just know you're related. Like, what kind of foolishness is that? And you wonder why some people marry cousins and all this crazy stuff. Tell the truth. I would rather for a woman to come to her child when that child gets of age and starts asking questions, and that father to come to that child when that child gets of age and start asking questions. Tell them the truth. Tell them, look, I was out here living La Vida Loca, baby. Your dad and I wasn't thinking about being parents, but here you are. And I thought when I was X amount of age that he was going to be the one, or I thought she was going to be the one. And it turns out, that didn't work out, baby. But we love you. You're looking good. You're doing good for yourself. But when it comes to me and him or he and I, no, it's just not going to work. But at least parents, give your child enough respect to know for sure who that child's father or mother is, if it's vice versa. But give them at least that certainty. But we got to stop having all these children walking around here with all this hate in their heart and malice in their heart because you got one parent bad mouthing the other parent, when truth be told, both parents are wrong. Both parents need to take responsibility as to what happened. If you got pregnant as a teen, you can't hold that other teen individual to whatever they said to get you in that bed, car, table, wherever. You can't hold them to that because that was the end game to get you there. You got to take responsibility for that. That child or children deserve that. But to think that, because you and Bob didn't work out, That, oh, now you just gonna badmouth Bob, and now you're gonna have to raising this child, and now this child got malice against Bob because Bob has gone on and maybe even had other kids by other people, or you may even see Bob spending more time with another kid, not paying your kid no attention. Now you mad, and he ain't this and he ain't that, and you doing all of this malice. Your children are absorbing all of that. And now you're wondering now when your kid is, teens or 20 something, 30 something, they got all this issue against dad. Mama, you got to come back and say, baby, let me talk to you. Let me tell you the real. Dad made his decision, but as a mother, as the guardian of this child, the raiser of this child, you have to sit that child down before that hardness get in their heart and tell them the truth. Because if you don't, somebody else will. Because there's always somebody else that was a part of the story on the outskirts of this that's watched that child grow up. And when that child explodes, because the day may come when they just meet their dad and it gets ugly and it blows up, when that other person goes say, baby, let me pull you to the side and tell you what really went on. Let me tell you what your mother really did. You got all this hate in your heart against your dad. He doesn't deserve all of it. Mama was wrong too. And if you don't want to have that type of conversation with your children, you do it in the very beginning. You have the conversation with that child and let them know daddy ain't perfect and neither is mama. Daddy made his share of mistakes, made his choices. I made my share of mistakes and made my choice. But don't put that type of weight around the neck of your children because you and daddy couldn't get y'all stuff together. They don't deserve that. They don't deserve that, because now you're going to have other people coming into this person's life, and you never think about this, but it could possibly impact that child's relationship when they start having relationships, courtships with other people. If that girl is raised to dislike her father for whatever reason, and then she goes and get in a relationship, there's a high percentage chance that she may end up looking for a father figure in the male that she's dating. And that male could turn out to be just like her daddy because she's searching. And now here she is in a cycle because you didn't put a stop to it in the very beginning and have that conversation. Like, yeah, in the beginning, me and Bob were good. We were in love. We conceived, and then something happened when you was around this age, and we split off, and I went my way, and he went his way, and I started dating Luke, and now me and Luke, and then I got pregnant again with Luke, and now I got 2 kids by 2 different dads, and well, me and Luke didn't work out, and then Luke went somewhere, and I went this other way, and now I met Joe, and me and Joe got together. It's just like this whole, like, y'all gotta stop this madness. There is a whole generation of people, probably the 70s and 80s kids and above, that are being raised in broken situations. And it's getting worse. How much more deception are we going to continue to put out there? And watch this generation just dwindle and dwindle, and all the hurting people. When we had the power, 70s babies, 80s babies, we had the power to raise a generation to where we broke so many generational curses, if you want to call it that, so many cycles. And many of us chose not to because we weren't set down by our parents to have those real conversations and to be able to talk to our parents about what ails us. We had the power to change so much, and we're failing on purpose. Listening to those conversations during Father's Day really did something to me, because I'm like, listen, I was a person, like I shared earlier, that wasn't a day that I celebrated. It wasn't a day I gave any attention to until I got married. I had to look to other individuals to see what a father even looked like, to see what characteristics I should look for, because I already knew what I didn't want. My life growing up in the project showed me all the negative males I needed to see, honey. So I said, as long as I go opposite of that, maybe I'll be okay. Okay? Maybe I'll be okay. I have a better chance in this thing. But at no point did I ever think I'm going to do the same thing to my children that was done to me. I always wanted to make sure that when I was ready to get married and start having kids, that this was the one. Not perfect by any means, but he loves me. He loves his children. He loves his mama. Let me tell y'all something. Make sure y'all, when y'all start dating men and you start to get serious, make sure you see how his relationship is with his mama. I didn't even know that was important until I saw how close my husband is with his mama. Now I ain't saying, get somebody's mama all in your business. Don't do that, y'all. That's a whole nother talk. Don't do that. But if a man can respect his mom and his siblings and the people around him, that's a good sign. That's a good characteristic that you should look for, ladies. Stop out here thinking, oh, I'm whatever age, 40 plus, 50 plus. Oh, I'm just gonna go out here and just throw myself to the wolves. Don't do that. Don't do that. That has consequences and repercussions attached to it. Do not do that. But mothers, do your children a favor. Don't do this for me. Do it for your children, your children's children, your children's children's children, and on down generations. Start having these conversations. Because if we as women do not start having these conversations, things are going to get much, much worse. Much worse. And I don't want to see another generation being raised by women that are just tired, wore out because they carry so much. I don't want to see men out here with children thrown all over the place like seeds in a garden. Just throw it out there and see what happens. I don't want to see people being raised like that. I don't want to see young girls saying, I don't know who my daddy is. I don't want to see, young boys and girls saying that same thing. I don't want to see and hear the hurt of 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds. Daddy wasn't there. Mothers, that responsibility lays on us. We're the bearers of the seed. Men will shoot a seed from here to New York if you let them. But we're the carriers of that seed. We do the final selection. So if you know Bob ain't hitting on a penny, stop messing with Bob. Because as fate might have it, child, Bob may be the father of your child. Now you got to look at Bob for the next forever. Can't get rid of Bob. Because you bore Bob's seed. You knew Bob wasn't going to be a daddy. Bob didn't want to be no dad. Bob just wanted to hit it and quit it. That's what Bob wanted. And truth be told, you probably wanted Bob to do just that. But a baby came in the midst of all of that. That child deserves more. If Bob don't want to be a dad, if you don't want to be a real mom, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not out here going to tell you like some people sit there and tell you to sit there, oh, because you're of a certain age. I've seen that too. You of a certain age, you ain't got time to wait. What you waiting for? You ain't got to wait this long. You getting older now. Tomorrow ain't promised, and you're going to do what you do. I'm not going to tell you that. I think that's the stupidest advice I've ever heard. Well, not ever heard, but I've heard recently. Don't do that. Every action you take with your body, with your mind, even reading a book, has consequences and repercussions. You have to think to yourself, can I live with this for the rest of my life? Can my child, if one's possibly conceived, can they live with this based on my decision for them? Can they live with this? Because I'm here to tell you, as a child that was raised by a mom that had 4 children, but 3 that lived by different people, that's a lot of weight for anybody to carry. Not just for the mother that made that decision, but for the children now, that's the result of that decision. It's a lot to carry. And it's a lot to pass on to another generation because your kids, your like for my mom's grandkids, they go on to the story. They go on another story. And they deserve to know what's going on. They deserve to know from I am passionately intrigued, or I am. We're not in our new place yet. We're still in the hotel. um, but I'll tell y'all about this whole hotel situation in another video. Um, this is crazy because this isn't a hotel room at all. But I'll share it with y'all later. But let me see. Yes, Nicole. Let me put this up. So let's see. I hope this shows. That's the wrong one. Hey, Emma T. Thank you for being here. Where'd it go? Stuff moving all fast. All right. She says, Nicole Marie says, men are initiators, and a lot of men don't want to marry. So some women want to have children regardless. True. True. However, I'm speaking from the child's perspective. From the child's perspective is if the woman goes out there, and even though men are initiators, we still have as women have the power to say no. We do have that power. They're going to initiate because that's what they do. But we have the power to say yes or no. And for women who still want to have children, I would say choose wisely. If you meet a man and y'all don't discuss children at all, y'all just doing your thing, and a child is conceived, women shouldn't automatically think that man is going to be a dad to that child. Y'all never had that conversation. So now you're expecting him to do something that y'all never even discussed, never came up. Y'all were just having big fun. So now you're mad because that man has decided, I don't want that baby. I ain't asking no baby. So now what do? You go, like a lot of people, down to the court system, and you start that process. So we have to, as women, be careful. Hey, Tay, about the decisions that we make and the yeses that we give. I had a young girl reach out to me a few years ago. She found out she was pregnant. She was a teenager. She found out she was pregnant. And we were talking about it. She told me how scared she was to tell her mom and all these different people and everything that was going on. And my first question to her was this: are you ready to be a single mom? And she was like, no, we're in love. And, da 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 da. And she's a teen and he's a teen. We're in love. I said, you're a teenager. You're a teenager. I said, I'm going to ask you again, are you ready to be a single mom? No, we're moving in together, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay. Not even a year later. He was with another girl, got somebody else pregnant, and she was all in her feelings. Oh, she was all broken up. These are the conversations, women, when we give birth to our children, we have to go back to the old school, teach it. Don't just teach your daughter, keep your legs closed. That was what was always taught to me. But my mom never told me the why behind that. We have to teach our kids the why. When I sit down with my daughters, I tell them, I'm your why. Let me tell you my life. Here's the why. Because if you don't, here is why. I'm not just saying, oh, keep your legs closed, protect your virginity because da. I can go biblical all day long, right? But sometimes you need to go further and deeper than that. You have to give them like a discussion where they can relate to. You have to break it down in terms they can understand. Here is the why. Have you understood before they even think about boys and women that have sons, before they even think about girls? You have to teach your kids. Yes, Cheryl. Thank you. You have to have those discussions. Okay, you go out here and you dropping it like it's hot. You giving it up like it's free to anybody that's asking for it. Here is the repercussions of doing that. Now, imagine yourself, now you've been with Roscoe and y'all got this kid together. Roscoe like, look, you trying to tie me down. I see Felicia over here. I'm going to go holler at Felicia. Now he done left you and baby Roscoe all by your lonesome. And now you having to try to figure out how to raise this kid. Now you calling grandma, mom, need you to watch the kid. Grandma like, girl, I got my own life. I raised you. I ain't trying to raise nobody else. Are you ready for all of that? Are you ready for that? We have to have these realistic conversations, man. And it's what we're not saying to our children and to our grandchildren in certain cases. I don't have those. Thank you, Jesus. But to those of you that do, you got to have that conversation, especially especially if you know your child is not having that conversation with their children. Grandma, you got to step in there and say, look, let me tell you something. We're going to stop this right now. I see the cycle. We're going to have this conversation. Mama didn't have it with you. Your daddy didn't have it with you. I'm going to have it with you. Because I've had to do that. I've had to sit people down and have the conversation. It wasn't pretty, but it's the truth. Here's what happened. And I wish my mother would have done that. I would have rather her say, Kim, you know what? Girl, I was out here doing this, and this. You're here. I don't know. Just say, I don't know. But all these question marks, it is crazy. And you don't want to leave your children with question marks. When my brother got sick last week and things were looking really bad for him, in one of my prayer sessions, I saw his children. And this is where being away from them for all these years stings quite a bit. Because they deserve to know so many things. And it was during that time, ironically, my brother just texted me. Okay. Ironically, he needs to have some serious, actually both my brothers do, but one's kind of away. Excuse me. They both need to have those heart to heart. Yes, he's doing a lot better. He just texted me. I was always check on him and see how he's doing. He's doing a lot better. Still got a long recovery to go, but he's doing a lot better. Thank you for asking. But the one thing in my prayer session that God revealed to me, and I know it was the unction of the Holy Spirit, is that if my brother was not here, if God decided to call him home, what conversations would his children have missed out on? There are so many questions they have, and only he and their mothers have the key to that conversation. And it has been my prayer for years that whatever hurt, whatever anger, and I've had this conversation with him, but he wants me there when this happens, and I don't know when that's going to happen, baby. They need to have a conversation. While there's still breath in your body. Thank you, Rook. Thank you. While there's still time ticking on your clock, every time God gives you the opportunity to wake up is an opportunity for you to go have those conversations with your children. Explain to them your side of the story. Explain to them what happened and what didn't happen and why it happened. Just put it all out on the table while you still can. Because once they're gone, I can tell you this from experience. Once your parents are gone, you can't get answers anymore. So while you still have the opportunity of every brand new day, sit down with your children, parents, and children sit down with your parents and ask the questions that are deep within you, because they hold the key and the only ones that can give you the real answer. I can only give you from the outside looking in. They, meaning the parents, only know what really happened. Why don't you have a relationship? What's really in your heart? Because it's too late when you're standing over their casket. It's too late when you're at a gravesite. It's too late. And it's time now that each and every one of us cut this foolishness out. You can get on social media and act like a plum fool, crack all the jokes you want to, have fun, have a party every single day on here. But deep within you, there's a root that is brewing, that's coming from some sort of hurt, some unanswered question, something that you know you need to go ask mama and daddy about because it's driving you mad. If your parents are still living and breathing, if you have an opportunity to get to them and have a conversation, have it. But don't sit up here with all that stuff inside of you and think you're hiding it. You're not. There are seers in this world that can see straight through you. They see what you try to hide. So if there's a conversation that needs to be had with your parent, take it from someone whose mom is gone from this earth. Have the conversation. Yes, it may hurt. You may be mad. You may want to cuss. And I was telling my brother this. I said, listen, when you sit down and have this conversation, don't have outside parties in there. You and your children, one by one, let them say whatever it is they need to say. And there's probably going to be some 4-letter words in there you don't want to hear. But let them get all that venom out. Get it all out. Get it all out. Get it all out. Do that cleanse. You're going to sit there and you're going to have to take it. But let them get that out. Once it's done, as a parent, you step up then and try to help fix that or mend it in the best way that you can. But don't continue to let this stuff brew. Let me see what everybody's saying. Okay, Ghetto is talking to the Rooks. Okay. So it looks like. And I will tell anybody, yes, we need men to be fathers in children's lives. Not just the children you may birth, because some people don't have birthed any children. You could be a role model for somebody else's children. Maybe that child's father has passed away. Maybe that child's father is incarcerated. But you can be an example of what a real man looks like before them. I think that's why a lot of these crazy things we're seeing now in the community is happening, because nobody's willing to stand up to be that positive example, to show them another way. I've literally modeled my life, and my husband as well, to show people there is another way. I came from the projects, baby. For real. The first 13 years of my life was in the projects. And from 13 to 18, I lived in my grandmother's 2-bedroom house across the way from the projects. But at 18, I left home and I joined the military. And so if it wasn't for the positive people, that's why I love I call them the wisdom keepers, but these are like ones we probably call our senior citizens, the people that's like 65 and above. I love that generation growing up, because they always used to just take me in and talk to me and counsel me and show me different things. It was as though God was lining up saying, Kim, there is another way. Outside of the craziness you see in the projects, and those that know, you know, there is another way. There is another way. And so I'm grateful to God for that, for my wisdom keepers. But those of you that have kids that are still in your home, you have the grand opportunity to teach them so much. Why not teach them something better than what you was taught? That's all a lot of these young people need, are the tools. But instead of us teaching them the right things to do, we're still out here in our 40s trying to live like we're still 20. Sit your butt down somewhere. Come on, man. We got a generation that we're responsible for teaching the right things to do, because kids are like sponges. I have learned this raising my own kids. Kids are like sponges. They will absorb whatever they see us do. And it doesn't matter if it's something crazy. It seems like sometimes kids will absorb the craziest things that we do versus the right things sometimes that we do. And I keep thinking about my niece when she was a baby. And my mom I always tell people, my mom had a PhD in cussing. My mom cussed at everybody. She cussed at us. She cussed at, she don't care who you was. She will cuss you out if she wanted to. That was my mama. She didn't play. No filter whatsoever. So my mom was constantly cussing, right? And my baby niece, my oldest niece, Oh my goodness, it's so funny. All of a sudden, one day, she's probably like, maybe 6 months old or something like that. We all got quiet. Was all my mom was talking to her friends. I was over there, playing around with some stuff. And my niece out of nowhere says the SH word. Yeah. We all turned around and was like, oh, and she just kept saying it. My mom turned colors, y'all. My brother was like, hey. Her mom was like, oh no. My niece just kept saying the S word, y'all. And I was like, ooh. So later on that day, my grandmother, who was a prayer warrior in the church, she was a deaconess. My grandfather was a deacon. They came by to see us. And my grandmother was playing with my niece. She was bouncing up and down. And my niece kept saying it. My grandma said, oh, Lord, the blood of Jesus. My grandmother was laughing. My grandma was like, she looked right at my mom because she knew exactly where that came from. But the funny thing is, both my niece's grandmothers cuss like that. That was just their thing. But to see how quickly she absorbed that word, it made me realize, even then as a teen, that we have to be careful what we say and we have to be careful what we do because they will absorb it like the craziest thing. So if you're a woman and you have children and you walk around half dressed, and when your daughter gets to a certain age, now she wants to walk around half dressed, you can't be mad. You told her that. Whether you realize you was teaching or not, everything that we do in the presence of children, they learn. I have worked in several daycare centers at certain points in my life. I've watched these kids. They learn, they pick up on patterns very quickly. And that's why these doctors and pediatricians will tell you about the milestones that kids should hit at certain ages because they absorb so much, and we have to be careful what we teach them. And so, exactly, Rook. Let's see what you say. Excuse me. Ghetto says, my kids aren't even allowed to have social media because until they're 18, I need to make sure I'm the one raising them, not this crazy world. I like that. Absolutely. Because some of the stuff, even as an adult, I see on social media makes me cover my eyes and just get up out of there because I'm like, whoa, the filters are gone. Stuff we used to never, ever, ever, ever say in front of children. Now everybody's just saying stuff, doing stuff. It's like no holds bars. It's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like, and we're wondering why things are going crazy. And I personally blame those that had children in the, let's see, the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. Especially if you're a 70s or 80s baby. We dropped the ball. I don't even know. I don't know what happened because things are just crazy, and it just makes me just want to pray so deeply for parents and for children because I remember growing up in the projects and things that I saw that I shouldn't have seen, and I remember some of the conversations that I heard that I should have never heard, and it was just crazy. And here I am, a woman of age. And to look back at the generations that are in their 20s and 30s and some 40s, and I'm just shaking my head like, are you serious right now? Do you not understand that what you're doing publicly, everybody across the world sees? Is that what you want your great grandkids, your grandkids to even see? Saying, hey, my great grandmother was doing this, or my great grandfather was doing that. Is that what you want them to remember of you? And yeah, that's true, Maria. I mean, Nicole. That's true. All the latchkey kids raising themselves. Yeah, absolutely. I know kids right now, well, they're not kids anymore, they're grown, that are now saying that they have all kind of mental health issues. And I'm thinking like, wow, I know your parents, and I know from the outside, I don't know none of in their house. And they're coming out saying they have this issue and that issue. And I had a horrible childhood. And I'm like, whoa, like I had no idea. Like, they really hid that well, the parent wise. And I'm like, now that their kids are coming out saying all these things, and I'm like, where did where did they go wrong? Like, where was the disconnect? Like, did you not think that leaving your children by themselves while you go out and go here and there and all on social media taking all these pictures and look, I'm at the beach, or look, I'm in this place, or I'm in that place, and I'm thinking, where are your children? And to realize that either a cousin got the children who's just as wild as the mom and daddy are, or a neighbor got the children, or the kids got to each other. I'm like, did you not think that that wasn't going to have a repercussion? We have to just, as parents, be mindful, man, from the beginning, before we even sleep with anybody. You have to look further than that night, that day, that whenever. You got to look so much further to think, am I ready to raise this kid in this craziness that I got going on right here? Everything has a repercussion. Hey, Jared, thank you for being here. Hey, Sleazy. Am I really ready to raise a kid in this situation? Like, I'm crazy. He crazy. Everybody around us crazy, but we gonna get together and bring a kid into this craziness that neither one of us are ready for. Like, how is that gonna work out? We have to just start being real. We got to stop building up these fantasy lives. We got to stop building up this fantasy world we living in. I don't know what's going on, y'all. All I can come back to is that the root of all this foolishness comes back down to mother and fathers. I remember growing up, I couldn't say, I better not let a cuss word come past my lips. Mom, even though my mom was a cusser, my mom would take my whole face off, like, for real. There was just things I could not do, even though I would watch her, thank you, and her friends, thank you, Jared, do all kind of crazy stuff. I couldn't do it. The rule was simple and it was clear. Do as I say, not as I do. That just wasn't a statement in my house. That was real. So we have to be mindful as to what we're showing and to what we're displaying before the younger generation. So for those of you that are out there that are either that may think to yourself, I don't know who my dad is. I don't know who my mom is. Those of you that sit there and say, well, my dad made the decision at whatever age in my life, he didn't want to be a part of my life, or my mom did the same thing. Baby, it's going to be okay. You are going to be okay. But if you have an outlet, a person that you trust, if you can't talk to mom, you can't talk to dad, find you a person you can trust. Find you someone you can talk to and you can reach out to. But do not suffer in silence. It's not worth it. Hey, 755 Media, it's not worth it. I know it hurts. Trust me, I know it hurts. But parents, you owe your children the respect, the care, the love to sit them down and say, listen, man, when you were born, I was jacked up. And then tell them your story. Because one thing I realized going through everything I've gone through is that not having, possibly, based on what I've heard about these other two men individuals, maybe God was protecting me by them not being in my life. God knew I had gone through enough stuff, being with my mom and being in the projects and going through everything that I'd gone through in my youth. Maybe them not being there could have been protection. Maybe they were only designed to just be the other contributor to my being, and that was it. Maybe that's where God wanted the book to stop. I don't know. But for those of you that have a living mother or father that you know inside of you, you have questions. If possible, at least try to sit down and talk to them and try to get some sort of answer to your questions, because it's too late when they're not here. But you're doing yourself a disservice holding all that stuff in. that causes health issues, anxiety, high blood pressure, hair falling out, sickness, illness, psychiatric problems. Don't carry all that stuff. If you can go and talk to them, talk to them. If you can't, pray to God. Find you a spiritual entity that you can just cast all your cares on. For me, is God, the maker of heaven and earth, the God of Jacob, Isaac. That's my God. But if you don't believe in that God, whatever deity you believe in, find some solace in that. But don't carry that stuff around, man. It'll drive you mad, like seriously. I truly believe it's the conversations that we are not having with the ones we need to have the conversations with that's causing a lot of this craziness we're seeing in the world. That's why you'll see young people that just pop off for no reason. People aren't in the streets fist fighting anymore. People pulling out guns and all kind of stuff now. We're seeing what hurt looks like and what the repercussions of hurt entails for so many. Trauma is a heavyweight, a very heavyweight. And if people aren't taught how to handle it, it'll come out some kind of way. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be something negative. But we hold the key to that. As mentors, as coaches, absolutely 755 Media. Cast your cares on the Most High, absolutely. But we can't not continue to carry this stuff around. We can't do it. We're losing an entire generation that's going to be sucked up into all this madness we're seeing now. If we don't get a hold to this craziness that's going on, we don't get a hold to these youth, what we're seeing now isn't even the tip of the iceberg. It could possibly get worse. So we as parents, as aunts, as uncles, as cousins, as friends, as neighbors, if you have an opportunity to just reach out to young people, do that. What you find out may surprise you. Because it is my intent to have some serious conversation with my brother and with his children. Unfortunately, right now, because of circumstances, I can't have conversations with my older brother. He has decided, and I kind of spoke on it a little bit in a parable last year in a video I did. We have gone our separate ways, and that wasn't me. It was his call. And maybe one day, if it's God's will, that he'll bring us back together. We were all close, but situations and circumstances and decisions that my brother has made has caused us to go our separate ways. You know, I always prayed that prayer, may God watch between me and thee while we are absent from one another. And that's kind of how it is right now. And that was on his call. But it doesn't negate the fact that I love my brother. I love both of my brothers. I pray for them daily. But when a person is grown, and make their own decision, you have to let them go make that decision. So that's kind of where I am with my oldest brother. I know several of you that know me personally have asked, hey, how is this one? How is that? I'm like, hey, he's in the hands of the Most High God. He's his creator, just like he's my creator. And sometimes you have to learn to feed people with a long handle spoon, because sometimes the truth is not something they want to deal with. And you give people that space that they need to protect your peace. And so that's kind of where I am at this stage of my life. I'm protecting my peace. I don't have time for negativity. I've had to deal with enough stuff in my life. Why am I trying to absorb somebody else's negativity when I don't absolutely have to? You pray for those people and you ask God to lead you and lead them and protect you. And everything will be the way God intended it to be. But my main focus is their children, their grandchildren. This has to stop. Because all I kept seeing is, what if something was to happen to your parent and you can't ask them? You can't say nothing. You can't even fuss and be mad anymore. We got to learn to let this stuff go. We're holding on to too much, man. It's just too much. One of the scariest health scares I had after I recovered from it, the doctor was asking me, do you drink coffee? Do you do this? I'm like, no, don't do any of that stuff. He was like, you're stressed. You're holding on to too much. And we as women, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a natural thing with us, but we always hold on to too much stuff. Some stuff we need to just let go of and say, I'm gonna let bygones be bygones. I'm gonna brush my hands off. I'm gonna wash my hands. I'm gonna brush my shoulders. This has got to go. We gotta learn to let stuff go. But instead, we're absorbing stuff, and our human bodies can only take so much before it just corrodes the situation. And you deserve more than that. You deserve so much more. Everybody that's in here, you deserve so much more. But you're holding on to so much junk. Some of y'all are like a suitcase. You know, when we get ready to go on a trip, we try to pack as much stuff in that suitcase as we can, because we don't want to take another bag to have to pay for it. So you're trying to pack everything in that. I mean, your zipper is like barely hanging on. Like if they drop your bag too hard, the zipper is going to pop off and everything in that bag is going to explode all over the airport, because you have packed everything but the kitchen sink in this bag. Some of y'all are like that in your lives. Your bodies have absorbed so much junk. What daddy did do, what daddy didn't do, what mama didn't do, what mama did do, what this one did, what that one said, the broken promises, the disappointments, the anger, the arrogance, the broken heart, the loneliness, all of these things. You know, being misunderstood, being lied on, being talked about, you know, all this stuff. You just absorb to where your body is so filled. You can't even accept the good things in life because you're so full of the bad things that you actually need to just deal with the root. Deal with the root of that thing. A lot of y'all are just like planters out there in the garden. You're clipping off little pieces of the plant. But the real problem isn't the plant that you see. It's the stuff that's under the ground. It's the roots that's the issue. Some of y'all got root rot inside of yourself. And you get online or you get publicly in front of people and you're just the life of the party. You're smiling, you're laughing, you're dancing, you're having a great time. You're giving some of the best speeches on stages and you're making all this money. You're doing all these great things. But truth be told, when the cameras are off, when the blinds are closed, the lights are down, you're crying yourself to sleep every single night because of hurt, because of a root that's deep down on the inside of you that you're not dealing with. You got to get rid of this stuff. It's not doing you any good. And believe it or not, other people are seeing that. Your grandkids could pick up on that. You're thinking you're hiding it so well. No. I believe it was Smokey Robinson that made a song. People say I'm the life of the party because they tell a joke or two. But then it says if you take a good look at his face, you'll see that his smile looks out of place and you'll see the tracks of his tears. Yeah. A lot of you are crying. And all the shenanigans you're doing publicly, we see through that. We're like, what's really going on with you? It's because you haven't dealt with those roots inside of you. Truth be told, some of y'all are so ticked off at your parents that aren't even enough words in the dictionary to describe what you really want to say and what you really want to feel. Get that stuff off of you. You will find yourself getting angry at the slightest thing. You will find yourself taking out your anger on other people that has absolutely nothing to do with what's really going on with you. Because you're refusing to sit down and be real with yourself. We always want to be real with each other. Oh, I'm going to keep it 100, girl. I'm going to keep it 100. No, keep it 100 with yourself. You mad. You ticked off. You want to cuss. But it's the Holy Spirit that's keeping you from cussing. Some cases. You want to go punch somebody. You want to go punch a wall. You want to just have a straight up fit. because of the root that's inside of you. It's now beginning to turn around and stir and move, but you don't know how to get that stuff out. Trust me, I've been there. When I was younger, I used to take a stick to a tree. There was a tree in my tree in my neighborhood. I would get so mad, and I would just take this stick and I would just be beating the crap out of this bush. I would be beating because I had so much anger. I was angry, and I couldn't go around punching everybody. So I would take it out on this tree. And some of y'all need to go find a place. Just I don't care if you have to go out in the middle of nowhere, just yell. Yell, cry, scream, kick, roll around on the ground, do whatever you need to do. I'm not in Mexico. I'm not in Mexico. And sometimes you just need to get that stuff out some kind of way. There are some people I know that's taking kickboxing classes, boxing classes, karate classes, Pilates. I mean, I don't know. They just go do stuff to get that stuff out. Trust me, as a person that has had major anger issues, I'm still a recovering person of anger. Okay, I'm getting that every day. But you got to find an outlet. That's why I love singing and I love, listening to music and just cracking jokes and acting silly because it's a stress reliever for me. You have to find your out. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that, Rooks. I can definitely, Rooks, I can definitely. Yeah, mine is mostly sadness. I'm not angry, but sometimes sadness does lead to anger. Absolutely. Let me tell you something. When my mom passed away, I was at the height of anger. I was so mad. Mm. Oh, I was so angry. I was angry at God. How many of y'all can admit that? Yeah, right here. I was so angry at God when my mom passed away because I had been in church all my life. And you listen to the people that's around you, from pastors to this person with this title and that person with that title. You listen to all these people, baby, pray, baby, do this, baby, do that. God's going to heal your mother. God's going to do it. And they quote scriptures and all of these different things that's happening around me, right? So I'm trusting God. My mama's going to be okay. My mama's going to pull through this. I'm trusting God. I can't even describe to you how much I trusted God during this whole process. When my mom passed away, I was so angry at God. I didn't want to hear another song. I didn't want to read the Bible. I didn't want to go to church. I didn't want to go to school. I was mad. I wanted to punch everybody I saw, from family members to neighbors, the people that was trying to console me. Get off me. I don't need your console me. I was angry. I started cussing. I was angry. And it wasn't until one day when my grandmother pulled me to the side and she says, I know you're angry, but think about how I feel. That was my baby girl. You see, my grandmother had two children, my uncle and my mom. That was her baby girl. When I was going through my anger, I didn't think about my grandmother. I didn't think about my brothers. I didn't think about anybody. I thought about me. I lost my mom. And God did it. I was so angry. But it was in that moment talking with my grandma when I realized that no matter how broken I may feel, no matter how angry I may feel, that was her baby. She needed me to help her through it too. We were in it together. It wasn't just me. We were in it together. So sometimes when we're angry, yeah, music has got me through a lot, Jared, a lot. Yeah, 755. Absolutely. She says, dealing with trauma is not easy. No, it's not. Just find your inner peace by surrounding yourself with those who truly love you now and use it to fuel the fire to forge your future. Girl, I could put that on a shirt. Yes, absolutely. Hug 755. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. The Rook says, I was feeling broken these last few months, but God. Yeah. The story of Job fell in my lap out of nowhere and I got it together. God has it. Everything will be okay. Absolutely, sis. It will be. It will be. What finally, after some time, gave me solace and made me really become the woman that you see today out of all that anger and hurt and sadness and everything you go through when you grieve. Like there is no certain way to grieve. There's no time frame to grieve. You go through it how you go through it. And it was hard for me. It was very hard. And it's still hard. There were days when I was sitting here and I would just cry with my mom. I want my mom. Like there is no consoling me as I want my mom. You know, it's just you go through that. But what really helped me get through and break through most of the grief was knowing that if I quit, if I stop, if I continue to live in anger and just lash out the way I was lashing out and acting, what is that saying for my mom's legacy? I was a baby girl. Out of her 3 living children, I was the only one to be able to finish high school and college. My brothers didn't do that. If I quit, what else is left? So eventually, after a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation, a lot of just growth and reading and listening to music and just working my way through grief, I realized I still have every day that God gives me an opportunity to fulfill her legacy, to be able to do the things that she wasn't able to do. And next year, I will be the age that my mom was when she passed away. And it's crazy to think of that. You know, both my brothers are way older than that. But to think of that and say, wow, Mama, we have come such a long way. And to know that because I keep going, because I keep praying, and I've reconnected with God on a deeper level than I've ever been before, that I'm putting a smile on her face. And my mom always smiled, always laughed, always was the life of the party, loved life in the way she wanted to. And even on the days she was down, and I actually got the chance to see her go through those down points, she didn't stay down long, literally not long at all. She would go from crying, but the next few minutes she'd be like, hey, let's go. We're going to get some ice cream, or we're going to go do this. Come on, we're going to sit, we're going to watch TV, we're going to do something. And my youngest, oldest brother, the one that's going through the health crisis, he's the same way. He never, ever lets a day go by where he's not laughing and joking and talking and just getting through life. It's always laughter. And for a time, I lost that laughter. I didn't talk. I looked angry all the time. That's why we all say I look so serious. We're getting there. We're getting there. But it's just that was just my life. That was just my defense mechanism. Like, I'm like this wall. But every time I smile, every time I'm cracking jokes, every time I'm having fun, I know I'm putting a smile on her face. And I know that at the heart of it all, whatever decision my mom made from my conception on forth, she made it with the best of her ability. She used what she had. She did what she needed to do. And every single day of my life throughout my childhood, when she was here, she would always tell, I never knew why she would always say this, but she would always say, I've always wanted a baby girl. I've always wanted a baby girl. And knowing that even though she gave birth to a sister before me, who was a stillborn, sadly, God allowed me to be her baby girl, her living baby girl, that she was able to raise for 17 years. And I'm grateful for that. So I can't stop. I can't keep my head down. I can't keep being sad all the time and angry and all of these things all the time because I keep thinking, what am I doing to her legacy? How did my mom handle that? My mom went through cancer treatments and radiation and chemo. Not one time did I see her cry. Even when I knew she was in pain, she never shed a tear. Even when the doctors told my mom that she had cancer, everybody else, my grandmother, me, my brothers, we all, oh God, and we all, we just lost it. And I happened to look up and looked at my mom's face. My mom was looking at her stories like this. She was in the hospital bed watching her stories as the doctor is telling her what's going on with her. My mom didn't bat an eye. To where the doctor stopped, he looked at her. I stopped crying. I'm looking at her and the doctor. And the doctor says, "Did you hear me, ma'am?" And she says, I heard you. And she kept right on flicking the TV. Like he hadn't said nothing to her. And so that made me stop crying. Like, Mama, you okay? Like, did you hear what he said? And she said, I heard him. So I was like, even in that, she showed strength. So it gives me solace as her daughter to know that if my mom could show strength through that, and even when she left this world, I can show strength going through life, not being able to physically see her because she instilled that in me. She was a strong woman. Anybody else would have crumbled under the pressure and the things that I saw her go through, but she did it with her head held high. That's why I try to teach that to my daughters. Look, you ain't got to try to be me. You ain't got to try to be your dad. But I want you to be who God created you to be. Stand 10 toes down. Stand strong. Life is not easy. God never promised us that. Whether you believe in Jesus or not, Jesus' life wasn't easy. What makes you think our life is going to be easy? Nothing is ever promised to us. And for me, nothing was ever given. But we, as parents, have to make the decision of what we're going to teach our kids. What example are we going to set before our kids? And not just our kids, there are other people's kids watching us too. What example are you going to set for your grandkids? Is it cool to think that maybe when your grandson is a certain age and you're passed on away, and he says, man, I remember my grandmother used to be turn it up every weekend. She was at Club Passion. She was always there at Club Passion. All she did was always at Club. Is that what you want your great grandkids to think and remember of you? Is that the legacy you want to live or leave back here? We have to think further than ourselves. We have to think past our kids. You have to decide what future are you going to leave them? Are you going to leave them bills? I know people right now whose parents have passed on, and they go when they're doing the will and they're doing all the insurance stuff and all that stuff, come to find out they left them with bills. Bills on top of bills. Don't do that. Please don't do that. My people that look like me in different shades of brown, please don't do that to your children, to your grandkids, or to whoever your executive of your estate going to be. Please don't do that. Please get a will. Please get some insurance to at least be enough to bury you. Please don't leave that burden on your children, your grandchildren. Please don't do that. We got to stop this madness. People, please stop living outside of your means to impress the people on social media. Let me just sit down and tell you this. We're not impressed. We're not impressed by your car. We're not impressed by your house. We're not impressed by your whatever machinery you have gone up there and bought. We don't care. We are not impressed. So you are running yourself ragged for clicks, likes, and views. Stop it. We do not care. I am more concerned with the example you're setting before the generations to come. They always say video lasts forever. What are you putting on video? Is that something you want your daughter, your sons, your grandkids, or anybody else to sit there and try to share with you? That's what you want the world to see? That's what you want them to remember you by? We have to be mindful of what we're doing. Yeah, make happy videos. Draw something. Paint something. Grow something. But let your character speak for itself. You don't want, yes, positive vibes. Absolutely, Jared. That's got to have positive vibes. You're going to be around me. Because anybody will tell you, Kim will ghost you quicker than anything. You start acting crazy, I'm out. I don't have time for it. You do what you do, but I just want to be there to witness it. Mm-mm. But I am seriously concerned. Silly 75. I am seriously concerned about this next generation. We like to call them the technology generation, because they don't know how to have conversations, and like we had to learn early on, generations before this one, how to be able to talk to people and with people, how to carry a conversation, how to carry yourself appropriately, whether you're in a business setting or you're out there on the corner, how to carry yourself with some level of respect. And to see that quickly dwindling, that's kind of scary for me. That's real scary for me. Yes, talk about the importance of stuff. Get out of this crazy stuff, what's happening in other people's lives, what's happening in the news. We have a lot of issues in every one of our communities that we need to deal with. Things that's going to affect you tomorrow. Things that's going to even determine if you're going to have drinking water tomorrow. Things that's going to determine if you're going to have electricity tomorrow. These are the bigger issues that we really need to pay attention to, not this other craziness we see. Stop it, 755. We have so many issues that we need to pay attention to. So take it from a person that's served this country, that's serving this country in another way. Y'all need to be mindful of what you're putting out there. You need to keep your eyes to the ground and really open up your eyes and pay attention to what's happening around you. Vision preparedness is on to something. That's all I'm going to say. We can laugh, we can have fun, but there comes a time and a place when we got to be serious about what we're doing, about how we're doing it and how we're carrying ourselves. PIA, what you say? Ghost is my middle name too, child, but probably first and last as well. You would look around and be like, where's the educated natural? What's she about? I just don't have time for foolishness. I just do not. I no longer tell people what they should and should not be doing. Hey, you do you, but just know there's a repercussion and a consequence with it. Whatever it is you're doing, there is a downside to that. There's another side to that. Ooh, big word, great word. Go on, PIA. Yes, dignity. Some people just don't even have that anymore. It's like ever since social media has made some people popular, or a couple of people may be saying their names, everybody now just losing all dignity, all self-respect. It's just like everything has gone out the window. It's about me, shine the light on me, forget you. I don't care about this next generation. I don't care what kind of legacy I'm leaving. I don't care what people perceive about me. I'm just going to do this and I'm going to do that. And people are looking at you on the other side of that camera like this. You the problem. Like literally, you are the problem. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Like seriously. Y'all remember that show? Probably just aged myself. But yeah, you know, we as women, I really miss, I may have to get with my one of the sister girls I know. I really miss having these women conversations I used to have years ago at a women's roundtable. And we used to just have some real conversations. And we would pray each other out of some things. And then we would just have those hard charging, you know, you're wrong, like straight no chaser talks. You wrong, sis, and this is how you're wrong. And you know, we would just have those talks. Like there wasn't no sugarcoating. There was no. Let's just go. We just go put a little honey on it, and everything is gonna be okay. No, man, no. We got real, and we need to have those real conversations. So when you hear people say some of the most stupidest things online, you should be woman enough to say, nah, sis, no, that's not right. This is what should be happening, because I'm thinking about the other generation, not your crazy self. The other generation that's watching you thinking, okay, this is okay to do. No, it's not. It's okay not to do everything everybody else is doing. That's always been me. I'm always the opposite. Everybody else walking around half naked, I am fully clothed. Everybody else swinging from trees, I am on the ground walking straight. Like I've always been that person. I've even early in my YouTube journey, had someone to reach out to me and ask me, why you always covered up, or why you always, when you giving words, when I was just speaking churches, why you always wear this and why you always do that? And it was very clear. It was very simple answer, because I was raised modestly. And there is nothing wrong with putting on clothes. There is nothing wrong with people having to guess where your body splits at. Okay. There is nothing wrong with wearing clothes your size and not clothes that make you look like a can of biscuits. It is okay to have some dignity, some self-respect, to not do those things. There are certain things that only my husband will see. He has earned that right. Okay. You don't need to feel that. That's none of your business. Mind your business. Okay. You silly 755. Like this is just how, yes, Passionately and Tree Dart, these are grown folks. That's just not me. So if you're looking for somebody that's gonna be dipping it low and dragging it on the ground, you're not gonna get that here. I'm just not gonna do that. First of all, outside of my husband, okay, I don't want to disrespect the creator. I don't want to disrespect him. I don't want to have to stand in heaven on judgment day and have to answer for that, because there's no excuse for that in my book. That's not my story. That's not the lane I'm supposed to be walking in. I'm minding my business. I'm in control of what I do. I'm responsible for what I do. I even asked my best friend one time. Thank you. Tell her, PIA. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Yeah, no, Jared. Yeah, no pants under the belt, guys. Please stop doing that. Please stop the sagging thing. I'm just gonna say it. Please stop. Women don't want to see that. And I recently saw a video, ladies. I recently saw a video where this young lady was walking from her car into what looked like it to be a hair store. And the owner of the store was outside, and it was this group of men that was doing the filming. And this woman got out of her car. It was doing something else, and she got out of her car to go into the store. And they saw her. And this is men, grown men now, that obviously dressed the way she was dressed, which was in some underwear and a bra. Literally told her, why are you walking around like that? That's disrespectful to you. Like, they were like so mannerly to her. And she was like, what? And so the man that owned the store happened to be of another nationality. And they asked that man, they said, sir, in your culture, would your women dress like this? He said, no, we know better than that. She got so mad at the owner of the place. She said, well, I'll just take my money elsewhere. And the guys that was the same color as she is, which is the same color as I am, they were telling her, baby girl, put on some clothes. We are men. We don't even want to see that. Put on some clothes, have some self-respect. You're walking around in public with your butt out and your boobs out. Nobody wants to see that. Ladies, we have to be careful what we are willing to do for clicks, likes, and views. You don't have to do all that stuff for clicks, likes, and views. You have to ask yourself, what's my why behind all of this stuff? That's all I'm saying. You do what you want. It's your business, it's your body, you do what you want. But from men, what I watched, and not just on that other video, with other videos, guys are sick of it. They don't want to see it. And they're saying they will not date, marry, or even be in a serious relationship with women that are doing that. They want you to put some clothes on. I'm just a messenger. Don't shoot me. I don't want you either way. I'm just saying. Men are telling women to put some clothes on. And these are the ones y'all taking it all for to get the attention up. They don't want to see that. I even had someone ask me about someone else that I don't even follow like that. But I guess they saw me in their comments or something, because I'm in a lot of different communities. I'm in different people communities, just in the comments saying, hey, showing support, because they show support to me. Somebody asked me, was somebody on the verge of becoming a porn star? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know their business, because of what they saw them doing constantly. They were wondering if they were going to be entering into porn. I do not know. I said, go ask them. I don't know. But can you imagine if you're walking around here with your tail out, what people are perceiving you as? We have to think on that level. Exactly, exactly, Shanti. I'm like, you go ask them. I was like, well, ask me, ask them. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what road they're going down with this. I don't know. That's not my business. I'm over here trying to keep myself afloat. I don't have time to track them. Hey, Love and Live, welcome in. But y'all have to realize that these are the things that people are thinking when they're watching you, me, and everybody else on social media. People will then start to treat you in that sector. I've had people who have watched my videos who thought I was a preacher. And I'm like, I'm not a preacher. Just a child of the Most High God. I'm not a preacher. Can I give you a word? Yes. If he downloads it to me, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. But I'm not a preacher. Okay? But people will just perceive you as that. When I was living in Europe, and I had been hanging out with this group of girls, and we all was in the barracks. You know, it was only a few black girls in the barracks, so we all kind of hung together. Several different personalities, several different things we all did. I was always that odd person out. I didn't drink. I didn't party like that. I was mostly like that designated driver. Whenever they go out and party, I just make sure they got home safely. Okay, that was my job. And I'm one day in the store getting some chips and my snacks and stuff. These two guys walk up behind me on the side of me. And the guy said, aren't you friends with such and such? Not gonna say no names. And I said, yeah. Now, like I told y'all, you can take the girl out of the projects, but you can't take the project out of the girls. Now I got these two guys inside of me, and I'm already on red alert. I'm already ready to bust them upside the head, okay? So I'm looking at them. The guy was like, so he presses up against the aisle, and he's facing me now. And the other guy's still standing over here. He's like looking at me like this. I'm like, can I help you? And he's like, so you do what they do. He's looking at me up and down, and he's licking his lips. I said, no, you got the wrong one. I grabbed my chips, went to the checkout line, checked out, walked my butt back to the barracks, and was like, I got to stop hanging with them. Because their character, their name that they had made for themselves as wild girls, okay, girls gone wild, had bled over to me. Because I was friends with them. They say what birds of a feather flock together. I was with the wrong people. When that happened, I was like, oh no. Because I hang with them, people think that I act like them, and I don't. They will even tell you, no, she don't. She just cool. And we all just cool. But I was like, oh no. So I literally had to limit my time even around them. Those two guys, God literally used those two guys, in my opinion, to alert me, Kim, you got to be careful. You have to be careful who you associate with. Exactly, PIA. And so I'm just kind of putting this PSA out there for everybody to be mindful what you do. Be mindful of what you're doing publicly, privately, around children especially, because they're watching everything that we do. They're listening to everything that we say. Just be mindful, you guys. Deception is real. There are deception in business. There are a lot of people out here telling people, oh, all you have to do is this, this, and this, and you'll make six figures. Or all you have to do is da-da-da-da. They're doing all kind of tactics to get you to buy whatever they're selling, to get you to believe whatever they're saying. It's all a lie. It's a tactic that people have been using for years. I learned about it back in 2013. And I was like, that's crazy. There's no way people are going to fall for that. But over the years, I'm watching more and more people fall for these same tactics. It's all deception. It's a lie, guys. People are out here trying to take people money. And if you're not careful, you'll be next. I have warned people about certain people. People did not listen till they got. And now they was like, oh, I should have listened to you, Ten. I should listen to you. I tried to tell you. Be mindful about everything you do. everybody you're associated with, everybody you're supporting, whether here on social media or in business, publicly, privately. Be mindful about who you're attaching your brand to, your name to, your business to, whatever it is you're doing. Be mindful, because every decision that you make has a consequence or repercussion that's associated with it. You don't want to fall on the wrong side of the fence. Just be careful. Be mindful about what we're doing as women, as men, when it comes to our bodies, who we're giving it to, who we're sharing it with, because even that could get you in a situation that you can't undo, whether it's through a child or some type of disease. Be careful. Stop listening to these people who claim to be, oh, I know how to build a relationship that's not even in a relationship themselves. They'll try to tell you how to get a relationship. Be mindful. Use your brain. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's best for you. What works for one person may not work for you. And it's okay to say no to anybody over anything. That's your body. You make a decision and be willing to live with the consequences of that decision. Because certain things you can get yourself into, you can't get yourself out of. You can't wish away a kid. You can't wish another person wasn't your baby daddy once you make that commitment with them to create it in the first place. Be mindful. There is a whole generation out here with all these type of diseases that spread it out like wildfire. And all you see is, ooh, Bob is 60 something and Bob got money. Bob drives this. Oh, I'm going to go holler at Bob, and Bob got something else for you too. You got to be careful. You got to be careful, because you could end up with more than you bargained for. Be careful. If you're a person that has an issue, an ought with a mother or father, an aunt or uncle, a cousin, a neighbor, somebody, you have an ought, but I'm really focusing this on parents. If you have an ought with your mother or father and they are still living and breathing, if you have an opportunity to just go to them and say, hey, can we just sit down and talk? Can we please just talk? But make sure before you go and have that conversation, you pray about it. Because you never know, because I know, I can hear you. Not every person is receptive to talk to you. I get it, but at least you tried. And if they reject you and they say, no, I don't want to talk to you, and they get up and leave, you did your part. But now you have to work on making peace with that. But at least you tried. Don't be over there angry and mad and rolling your neck and rolling your eyes and harboring all of these negative emotions when you don't have to. Because once they're gone, you can cry over that casket until you turn colors. It's not going to bring them back. You're not going to be able to get the answers to the questions that's really, truly deep down within you that'll give you peace, or at least give you the answer you're seeking. Whether that answer is pretty or not pretty, but at least it's the truth. Give yourself that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shanti. Give yourself that opportunity. Because if I had an opportunity to speak with my mom, I would. But I can't. So now I'm left here having to deal with some other things that's been falling out the closet. Whether I choose to deal with it or not, I'm still praying on it. I don't know. So as a person that was raised without knowing that father side of my own equation, meaning I don't know who my dad is, don't let your children or your grandchildren or great-grandchildren, if there be any, feel that, have to live with that, have outside people coming in and say, I think it's such and such, oh, it could be such and such, or it could. Come on, man. You're making a complicated situation even more complicated. You, the mother, you, the father, need to sit down and have that conversation. Ladies, before you sleep with anybody, I don't care what age you are, you need to have that children conversation. You need to get to know that person inside and out before you spread anything, okay? You need to be real with yourself and say, if things go left, things go bad, we don't work out, am I prepared to be a single parent? Am I prepared financially, mentally, physically, emotionally to raise this kid by myself? You have to ask yourself that question. Be real with yourself. Kids are expensive. Do you have the expenses for that? Or are you literally going to have to go and get governmental assistance? Is that what you really want? Is that the story you want to tell? These are the real conversations I'm saying we need to be real about. Do you want to be another statistic as a single parent? Do you want to be another statistic as a parent that's having to raise a fatherless child or a motherless child? Because sometimes it goes the other way. Is that the story you want to tell? Is that how you want to start a generation off? Just wrong from the get-go. You knew Tyrone wasn't about nothing in the very beginning. Doesn't matter what he can do in the room. You know he is not father material. You know she is not mother material. But you create something if you want to. You got to deal with that for the rest of your life. Is that something you want to do? These are the real conversations we need to have. It's too late once that child is here and you and Tyrone over there fighting and bickering and y'all just can't get it together. And now you got this precious individual that's going to have to be reared up into that foolishness when it could have been avoided in the first place. These are the conversations I want to have with women, because I'm sick of hearing the stories of children of parents where one parent has decided to go another place. And now that parent that stayed, that's raising the kid, is bad mouthing the other parent without telling their side of the story too. It takes two to tango. You were no perfect angel. You made mistakes too. You're the one that held on to the seed. You could have said no. But be real with yourself first before you pick that other individual to procreate with. Be real with yourself first. See, these are the conversations 10 wants to have. Because it's easy to point the finger at the other party. What did you do? That's what I want to talk about. Why do you have multiple baby daddies? Who chose these knuckleheads? Did you ever have that conversation with them? These are the real conversations. Because if you don't have it with yourself, your children at some point could come back, even as grown adults. Mama, why was my daddy in my life? What really happened? And then when they go in, if they're able to talk with their father or vice versa, their mother, whichever the missing parent is, will they share that same story? There have been too many cases where mom has bad-mouthed dad and the child had the opportunity, that's an adult, to go and speak with that absentee father. And that father said, baby, this is what happened. And it's a whole different narrative. And then mama had to turn around and say, well, yeah, I lied. There have even been cases where women have told the kids, your daddy dead. Come to find out that man is still living and breathing. And all those years of lies you have told to that child that's now an adult have come back and bite you in the butt. Ladies, we have to do better. We have to do better. We hold the key to all of this stuff. We got to stop sitting around here trying to do crazy stuff for clicks, likes, and views when another generation is watching us, learning from us. But I'm going to go because y'all know I get on my soapbox with that. I will get on my soapbox with that. I will. Because I've just seen too much. We have to do better, women. We have to do better. Woo, Shanti. Yes, they're expensive. Child, they're expensive. Tell your daughter I say happy birthday, sweet 16. My baby turned 16 this year too. Yep. So tell her I say happy birthday. But yeah, that's all I want to say, guys. We are being deceived from the north to the south, to the east to the west. There's so much deception out there. And if we don't literally open our eyes to see what's really going on, to see what kind of blinders other people are trying to put over our eyes, we're going to get caught up in a mess. And what we're seeing now could possibly get worse. And we don't want that. I don't want to see it get worse. It's bad enough. It's really bad enough. We've been in this new location now 2 weeks, and every time I graze by the news, because we're watching TV because we're in a hotel, and the TV is on, you will see this. Somebody's no longer here. Somebody's no longer here. This has happened. That's happened. I'm like, turn the TV off, please. I don't even watch TV, but please turn the TV off. I just can't. No, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm like, I get to another video about this place. I'll get into another video because I know some of y'all are actually in this state. I'm gonna tell y'all where I am. Yeah, because some of y'all are actually in this state, and I don't want to badmouth your state, but man, look, Thank you, Miss Cheryl. I am so glad you did not do that to your children. Thank you. We need more women to just be real with their children and tell them this is what happened. And I'm telling y'all, I respect women that and fathers that are just honest. I wasn't ready to be a dad. Just be honest. Your mom and I was messing around. You came along. I realized she was crazy, and I realized, I realized he was crazy too, and we just did not work out. But you're here. We both love you. You know, have that conversation, but don't just abandon the kid and think, oh, they'll be fine. They'll be all right. That may not be the case. I've seen and heard too many stories that I know people personally that's come out of nowhere saying, because this happened, I'm having issues. And now the mom and dad are kind of blindsided by this individual having issues. It's a root, and it could possibly go back to the parents. So we have to be mindful of that. So I wanted to kind of just share that with y'all. Keep me and my family in prayer. I would definitely pray for you guys. We still will be here until July. But we thank God that He has opened doors. And I would definitely be sharing the testimony that God has opened doors for us here. And we are just grateful to God. But I just could not let this fester inside of me any longer without coming with y'all and just letting y'all know we got to do better. Yes, definitely, Shanti. We got to stop putting these kids on autopilot. You putting them on autopilot, and we never showed them how to fly in the first place. But that's another subject for another day. I have to go, guys. But I want to say thank y'all, and I will see you guys the next time. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I miss you guys too, Shanti. Y'all got to come back too. So I look forward to your next videos as well. Until the next time, guys. Any questions? Anybody have anything to say before I get on up out of here? If not, we're going to call this thing, and I'm going to see you guys later on in the week. If I don't see you live or in a video, I will definitely see you guys in the chats, in somebody's chat somewhere. Thank you so much, Stacy. Thank you, guys. Everybody, thank you for being here. May God bless each and every one of you all. Till the next time we come together. You guys know how I say it. Be blessed. Continue to be a blessing to others. Until the next time. Enjoy your journey, everyone.